joined me here today at Horcott's Pools, a fishery near me, where I'm currently just making a standard vlog video, and I thought that I would make a separate video whilst I'm here, just about how I make my videos and how I put them together and what equipment I use, because when I first started making the vlogs for my channel, and even making YouTube shorts and TikToks and stuff like that, I had absolutely no idea what I could use or how to use it or anything. And a quick disclaimer, I by no means say that I'm a professional videographer or photographer, because I'm not. You've seen my videos, but if you want to make videos similar, then this video will show you how to do that, what equipment I use, and honestly that you don't need the most expensive equipment. You see the professional videographers, their content is absolutely insane, but honestly they could probably do almost as good a job on the equipment I'm using because of their talent. But this video basically shows you that you don't need the best equipment, and it's just going to show you what equipment that you do need to get you by. And you can have equipment that isn't as good or that is better, but I'm just sort of going to show you the process that I do, and how I do it and why I do it. And yeah, so hopefully it's a nice informative video and you come away from here maybe not making a video before, and with the confidence to make a video now, or maybe the knowledge that you needed to go and start your own channel. Because honestly there needs to be more fishing vloggers and bloggers and video makers and stuff, because I need stuff to watch, and there certainly isn't enough people out there making videos that I want to watch. So hopefully it's a good video for you and it's nice and informative. That wind is really bad, and that's one thing we're going to talk about, so let's get into it. So first of all, we'll go through a little rundown of we'll have a little rundown of the equipment that I use. So believe it or not, I do use an iPhone 13 Pro Max, and the same quality you'll get from an iPhone 13 Pro. So the reason I use this is honestly because the quality is great. I can do 4K 60 frames per second, 30 frames per second, or 24 frames per second. 24 frames per second gives you more of a cinematic look, and the 60 frames per second gives you a smoother look. So depending on what I'm going for, I'll use either or, but I would recommend that you use the same frames per second throughout your whole video and don't chop and change, because other clips will look different and it won't seem to flow nicely. So secondly, I use a shotgun mic with my iPhone. I found out that you could do this quite recently, and this is an upgrade that I've made. It's not a massively expensive microphone. It's a Movo VXR10, I do believe. Everything will be down in the description below, so you will be able to go and check that out and see what I'm using. But again, there are more expensive alternatives like Rode lav mics and a big like Rode shotgun mic, and these are more expensive. But when I watched reviews on YouTube, this one didn't actually perform that much worse, and that was about £30 to £35, I think. So it really isn't that expensive, and it just plugs into your phone and gives you a better mic quality. Quickly going back to the phone, again, there are different phones that you can get. Obviously, if your phone is probably more than 2 or 3 years old, I recommend not using your phone. Maybe the quality wouldn't be as good, but using your phone when it's quite a new phone, these phones, if they do 4K, it's excellent. And I have the cinematic mode on the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max. So as you can see, and the iPhone 14 and stuff now, but as you can see, it sort of gives you the perspective of everything being blurred. So it has aperture and it allows the background to be blurred, when most phones don't do this. Obviously this is something that you can do with lenses on camera, so if you do have a camera that allows you to record video, then excellent, you'll be able to do exactly this. But with the iPhone you are able to change the blur as well, so it does cut me out, so it's not perfect, but it does give you a nicer professional look. So that is why I do use it, and I use it over my camera, just because the quality, I can do it in 4K but I can still get that depth of field, whereas with my camera, I believe my camera only does 720, which really isn't good enough. If your camera does 1080, excellent, I would use that over a phone, but honestly, with my camera being 720 and the phone being 4K with the ability to cut things out, I honestly think it's a no-brainer for me to use my phone. And my final piece of main equipment is my GoPro. I use a GoPro Hero 8 Black Edition, and that does an amazing job for me. I'll either have it chest mounted if maybe I'm casting or playing a fish, or head mounting if I'm applying bait or anything else like that, or if I'm just needing another shot or another angle to my video. The GoPro Hero 8 does 4K again. It does 4K, it does 2K, it'll do 120 frames per second, 60 frames per second, wide modes, zoomed in, everything that you need it to do. Again, it doesn't have that depth of field, which is a shame, but that's not the end of the world, because again, you have your main video camera or phone or whatever for that job, but it does give you another angle of something, which is something that we will talk about later, when just sort of roughly putting videos together. I'll kind of try and talk you through how I do it and how my thought process is when I'm sort of trying to make up a little bit of a story for my video. And yeah, so that is my last piece of equipment that I use, and I think another piece of equipment that you need to remember is just battery chargers. I use my Milwaukee battery. I have like a 6 amp hour Milwaukee battery. I've got an adapter that charges my phone because they hold a lot of charge, so I use that. I also take 2 power packs, only like 10,000 milliamp hour, but it's just enough that because I'm using my phone a lot to record, and it's recording in 4K, say 60 frames per second, it's using up a lot of battery as well, and the GoPro batteries don't ever last very long, especially when you're recording in 4K. So again, I like to have extra battery chargers so I can charge these batteries and make sure that I'm never missing any content. So now I've spoken you through the basics of what equipment that you might need. We'll sort of move on to what sort of things that you want to be filming, and how maybe you want to film them. Again, I want to stress that this is how I make my videos, so if you've seen my videos and maybe you want to do something similar or something like that, this isn't how Nash make their videos, or you know, Nothing But Fishing makes his videos, or anything like that. This is just how to make a fishing vlog and just getting an understanding of how I do my videos and maybe how other vloggers do their videos. So I hope you do understand that. I have masses to learn still, but I'm just maybe trying to get you off the mark if you're worried about maybe starting your first video or how to make videos. And maybe this doesn't apply to fishing either. Maybe this applies to any outdoor adventures. Maybe it applies to hunting, maybe it applies to other forms of fishing, walking, hiking, anything like that. I think it just gives you the outdoor vibe. So yeah, we'll get into that now on the sort of things that I would be filming and how I film them. So with your fishing videos, it's not all about the fishing, in my opinion. So with my videos, I like to create a small storyline of maybe me getting to the lake, checking out the lake, sort of sussing out where I want to be, casting out, feeling the lead down, stuff like that. So basically the process that you go through, the geese. So the process that you go through, you need to take your viewer through that as well. So if you see in, say, I'll put it in the description, my Horcott video, you'll see me getting to the lake, you'll see me taking my barrow through, you'll see me looking at the lake, you'll see me leading about, casting my lead out and stuff. So I'm giving the people the vibe that I get. They're seeing what I see. They're seeing me taking the barrow because that's what I see. They're seeing me looking at the lake trying to see fish because that's what I'm seeing. These sort of things your viewer needs to see. Now, it depends on what video you're making. It depends on where you're going. It might be sorry if that is really windy, it might be more in depth if it's, you know, if it's an old classic estate lake that's hardly been fished and stuff. Maybe you want to show more of that. So I've just got my GoPro here. I do have the media mod on it as well, as you can see. So it has a little microphone and it has some extra bits at the back so you can see. So you have your ports available. So you can also plug that microphone that I'm speaking through now into here, and it'll work as a normal microphone. But basically, the sort of B-roll shots that I try to get is I put some music over the start. It's me getting to the lake, it's me walking around, it's some of the scenery, it's showing people the lake from my view. So I'm getting shots from my point of view, from my swim, looking out at the lake. Now I'm trying to get some different depth of field, so this is where the camera comes in. This is where maybe your iPhone Pro Max, iPhone 13, iPhone 14 Pro Max comes in, is trying to get that depth of field. I'm not sure if you can get that sort of thing on other phones, so excuse my ignorance, I'm not too sure. But I'm trying to get shots where I'm sort of coming from behind a tree or a branch, where the tree is in focus and the lake isn't, or the opposite way round. The lake is in focus, the tree isn't, and stuff like that. Just, you want those different depths of field. The one thing that I try to avoid is when I'm doing that is to change the depth of field. So there are ways of locking your depth of field in. So if I'm focusing in on these branches behind me, I'm still showing the lake, but I'm keeping that depth of field so you can always see the branches and not the lake. The same in reverse. If I'm showing the lake, you can blur the branches so you can only see the lake. So say if you're focusing on the ducks behind me, you can focus on the ducks and then bring it behind the tree or the bush or whatever, so you can still focus on the ducks, but there are stuff moving in the foreground that is blurred. So that's the sort of thing that I'm looking for, is to capture the scenery, what you're doing, why you're doing it, for the viewer. Because at the end of the day, if you just turn up to the lake and go, yeah, I'm fishing, cool, and then you don't catch anything, or the session isn't as exciting, the view isn't good. It's not nice to watch a video, it's not enjoyable to watch a video if someone just talks about what they're doing the whole time, just like I am now. But if someone just sits there and does a vlog, but they just talk about everything and don't actually show you anything, then it's hard to enjoy the video. Whereas if I watch a video, I like to watch a video where they're showing the scenery, they're showing their rods, they're showing their bite alarms, they're showing their bivvy, they're showing their peg, they're showing the water that they're fishing, they're showing the wildlife around them. That is what I want to see, so that is what I put in my videos. So that's the sort of thing that you need to be capturing. You need to be capturing the wildlife, you need to be capturing the lake itself, and your equipment, your kit, stuff like that. So I'll sort of head on to the shots of the rods and the reels and the kit and stuff now. Something I did fail to mention previously is lighting is very important. I know on some of my videos, if you look back, my lighting hasn't been great, and this is something that I'm still learning and still understanding. But as you can see now, I have the light coming from behind the camera, hitting me in the face, rather than the light going into the camera. If the light's going into the camera, it's going to make it look weird and not nice. You want the light sort of hitting the side of you to light up your face, give the subject a little bit of glow, but not too much. If you have the light behind you, it'll overexpose the camera and it won't look great, and it'll be adjusting all the time and stuff like that. So lighting is massively important with all of your shots. Try and get the light away from the camera, if that makes sense, but onto the subject, because that will make your videos and images look crisp. So when getting videos and clips of my equipment, there are certain ways that I like to do it. Other people do it in other ways. Like I said, everyone is different, but the way that I like to do mine is I like to get a couple of different shots of the rod, the reels, the alarms and stuff like that, in many different ways, and then use only a certain few depending on the video. But what I like to do is I use my camera, I use my my phone, which has the nice depth of field on it. But for this, I will just show you with the GoPro on how I do this. So the sort of shots that I get are from down low. I'll get one of the alarms from down low, of the reels, and hopefully within those sort of 5 to 10 seconds there they go off, but that's massively unlikely. But I usually try and get one of the reels, because again, they are the centerpiece. This is your centerpiece, your rods, your reels, and your alarms, because that is what you're using to fish. So firstly, I have a nice shot of those. Then I try and get a shot maybe from behind the rods, with the rod butts, so the butts of the rods out of focus, so they're blurred in the foreground, and then the sort of the end of the rods and the lake is in focus. I think that produces a really nice shot, and again, it's only a still shot, so the camera's still, but it's just a 10-second, 5-second little clip that will be part of your video with some music over the top of it. And the same with the alarms. Quite often I'll do a side-on view of the alarms, so say the alarms are here, sort of aiming up towards them, or maybe from over top between the rods. And again, if you don't have a camera or a phone that does a depth of field, then just try and get them as the centerpiece, as the main piece. But a lot of phones now and cameras do that, so you are able to sort of get them in focus and get other things out of focus. Another sort of angle that I like is through a rod eye, so maybe the butt eye, so the biggest eye on your rod. I like to sort of get the camera through it so that is out of focus, so that the eye is actually out of focus, and then the whatever you're looking through, so the other eyes and the lake is in focus. That's a really nice shot, and again, that only needs to be a few seconds long, but maybe that might even be a photo just for Instagram or something. But I do like to get a shot like that. I think it looks very nice, very professional. And lighting is another one as well. If you have, I mean, at the moment I've sort of got the light coming from the side, but if you have the light heading straight into the camera, it's really hard to make it look good. Whereas if you've got the light coming towards your face and it's on the subject, it makes it a lot easier for the camera to work out things and get a nice picture of that. So it's quite important that you do your best to get your lighting right. I'm still learning this, and yeah, you'll see in some of my older videos that my exposure was bad, my lighting was off and stuff like that, but I've had to play around with my settings. I think more before I start recording of where I'm looking, where the sun is, where I am and stuff like that, just to try and get a better understanding of how it'll look once I've recorded it. Now here's something that I do try and avoid as much as possible, and it's a little bit controversial really, and I do it. If you look in my videos, I do it, and I'm doing it right now, and that thing is holding the camera. So although it's a vlog, most vloggers you would see holding a camera and they're, you know, moving about and stuff. I try and set up on a tripod and record, so at least the camera is still, because there's no way that you can keep the camera still the whole time. But I do it, and sometimes it's nice to just get a view of other things around you. But I think it looks a lot nicer if you can get it set up on a tripod, step back from the tripod and talk to the camera. You also have your hands for hand gestures. You can move about a bit. You get a nicer depth of field because the camera is further away, so you can see a lot more as well. So sorry, not a depth of field. Your field of view is a lot nicer. Maybe you can get the background in and stuff like that. So that is one thing that I do try and avoid, and like I said, I don't do it all the time, and this is personal preference, but obviously this video is how I make my videos, so it's something that I do try and avoid if I can. But if I can't, or if there's something that I want to show, or if I just have my phone in my hand or my camera or whatever and I want to record something, it's absolutely fine. But if I'm sort of planning a piece in my head, like now I'm going to talk about my bait, or now I'm going to have a chat about this, I do try and sort of get into the motions of putting it on the tripod, setting it up, just so you don't have this movement like this and you don't have these problems. But it's not always doable, and it also stops your arm from aching, because after a while your arm does begin to ache. But yeah, that's just another thing that I do like to try and avoid if I can. But if you want to do that kind of content, that is absolutely fine. It will not make a difference whatsoever. but hopefully this has given you a much better understanding of what the sort of things that we're looking for, the sort of equipment we're using, and the sort of process that we're going through when we're recording. I'll now see you in the next clip in my office, where I'll just take you through one or two things on the sort of storyline and how I like to put them onto my computer, how I like to get them into the editing software, what editing software we use, and stuff like that. It's only going to be very basic when we're back at home in the office, but it's just something to show you, just in case it's something that you're looking for or information that you might need. But yeah, hopefully you can sort of understand the process that I'm going through here. We need to make a story, we need to get some shots that aren't exactly related to the fishing, like the B-roll shots, like the nature shots, like the arriving, you're pushing your barrow, things like that. That's quite important to sort of paint the picture and show the story. And and obviously the equipment that we're using. It's always a good idea to have an idea in your head of what you want to film. Sort of usually when I'm driving to the place, I've got it in my head that this is the first thing I'm going to film, then I'm going to do this. When I'm walking to the lake, I'm going to do this and this and this, and then I'm sort of, okay, I'm going to get set up. Sometimes I'll do like a time lapse of me putting the bivvy up or taking it down or something like that. So it's good to have an idea in your head of what you want to film. You don't always have to, but it does make it a little bit easier understanding the process when you've already got it in your head. But yeah, so we'll go to the office now and I will show you a little bit of the editing software. Right, so welcome to the office. I'm just very briefly going to talk to you about how I get my videos and all my clips and stuff like that onto my laptop. Now, this will be different for everyone, depending on what system you're on, what laptop you're on, or whatever. But I'm just going to talk you through a few of the programs that you could use and the programs that I use to get my footage into a video and out as a video. I won't show you the process of putting them together, if that makes sense. There's millions and millions of videos on the whole of YouTube that will show you how to get your videos pretty much put together and out there, but I'll just show you the options that you have, and hopefully it will give you a better idea of what sort of program you want to use, whether you want to pay for it or whether you want it free, and various different things like that. So we'll get right into it now. So to start off with, depending on how you want to record your videos, if you see a lot of the bigger YouTube channels, they might have a voiceover. Fish with Carl very much does this all the time. He will talk over his videos and narrate over his videos. So in that case, you may need a standalone mic like this. I use this for a podcast. So I have a few of these. So these are ideal for me to make videos like this. And if I want to do voiceovers and stuff like that, I can. I don't tend to. I find they're a little bit more for fishing films rather than vlogs. But if I want to do that or I need to do that, then I have that option. Now, there are options of just mics like this or USB mics or anything like that. But honestly, I would just go for a standard USB standalone microphone. I'll link one down into the description. That's about 50 to 80 pounds. It's really, really not a necessary thing to have a setup like this. Like I said, I use this for a podcast, so this is a couple of £100, but you do not need that for a little bit of voiceover on a video. But that's just something to think about if that's the sort of video that you want to go down. And the USB mic will literally just plug straight into your computer and you'll be able to start using it as a normal microphone. Now we will talk about how to get your images or your videos or whatever from your device to your computer. So with me, I have a MacBook, so an Apple computer or a laptop. I also have an Apple phone. So it's very easy for me, without losing any sort of video quality or anything like that. I wirelessly airdrop. So basically I select the photos on my phone, literally built in to the Apple software. I select them, I airdrop. It doesn't matter how big they are. If you're on the same Wi-Fi network or you both have internet, so both of your devices have internet, it will send it straight over in literally seconds. and you won't have to plug cables in or send it via the internet or Dropbox or anything like that. So it's mega quick, and that is basically, you don't lose any quality whatsoever. But this does only work if you have an iPhone and a MacBook. If you have an Android phone and a Windows computer, again, relatively simple. You can either use Dropbox or something like that. If you don't know what that is, it's basically just a cloud server that you can put stuff in and someone can take it back out, pretty much. Or you could do something like that. You could Bluetooth it if your phone is capable of Bluetoothing like that, but it might be a little bit slow. Or you can just plug it directly into your computer and find it from there. Honestly, if it was me, I would probably use Dropbox in that case, because the faff of trying to find it and stuff, you can basically just slide it into Dropbox from your phone and then find it on your computer already with the Dropbox app or the Dropbox web browser. One last thing is the same with the GoPro. If you're plugging your GoPro straight into your computer, whether it be a Mac or a Windows PC, you can literally plug it straight in, head into your files and find all the videos straight from there. Really simple. There is also like a mobile app that you can use to find or upload and stuff like that, but I think you've got to pay a subscription. And if you're like me and you like doing stuff on a budget, why not just plug it in? I don't often film much on my GoPro. Most of it is on my phone, so it all just gets sent over anyway, mostly wirelessly. But yeah, you can plug your GoPro in or do it wirelessly, but I prefer to do it wired because it's free. So now I'll show you the software that I use. So behind me, as you can see, we have Adobe Premiere Pro. Now you do have to pay for this. As you can see there, these are a few of the thumbnails I was trying out, but you don't have to pay for a lot of programs. You do have to pay for Premiere Pro. Now in my case, I'll speak about other softwares shortly, but I have a package of all the Adobe softwares that I pay for a monthly subscription. So I get multiple different softwares such as Photoshop, Lightroom, Adobe Premiere Pro, After Effects. So I have plenty of different softwares that are going to help me with my process of making a video. Now, I have Premiere Pro as part of that package. So basically, I will find my videos here or just create a new project, and then it's as simple as just clicking on here and importing your files. Now you would obviously find your files somewhere else, and wherever you left them, pretty much just drag them from this area to this area and start creating. And like I said, I won't show you too much into that because unfortunately there are millions of videos out there and it would be a pointless, massive waste of time if I sit here showing you, because there are people that know a lot more and are a lot better about explaining, pretty much. So I will leave that to them. I'll again find a video of the basics and put them down below. There's going to be a lot of links down below in the description, but they're all going to help you if you're starting off this process. Now, there are other programs that you can use. One of the big programs that I see a lot of people use that is free is DaVinci Resolve. Now, this is completely free. I do believe there is a paid section, but I don't think you get anything different as such. I don't think there's anything that I wouldn't use. If I didn't pay for this full package, it would be DaVinci Resolve that I would go for, and I would go for the free version because I have used it in a different in an employment before, and it's actually a very good program. But it just so happens that me and my partner both use Adobe products, so we've pretty much just bought the package. But honestly, it works quite the same. It's a different interface, but it's very much the same. You just find your stuff, import it, and then crack on, start going for it. And again, there's videos, hundreds and thousands of videos online of where you can find DaVinci Resolve or how to use DaVinci Resolve, or very in-depth edits on DaVinci Resolve. And honestly, a lot of these programs, Premiere Pro, I've never had any training on it. I've just sort of gone with it, tried it, trial and error. If I don't know something, I Google it, I YouTube it, and that's basically how I've bundled my way through it. So it'll be easy enough with DaVinci Resolve as well. So that's the sort of programs that I'd be using for my video editing. Now, my photo editing, there are so many programs out there that you can use. Obviously, like I said, I have the Adobe package, so I use Photoshop, which is quite a standard one, and Lightroom. Lightroom is basically like a Photoshop, but it focuses more on the colors rather than the actual editing or the wording or whatever of the picture. Now, again, like I said, these are paid, so there are free versions of these. I believe one's called Photo Director 9. I'm pretty sure that is free and almost a carbon copy of Photoshop without some of the added features, which honestly I don't use all that many of, but again, because I've got the package, it's convenient to me. There's also a software called GIMP 2.0, I think, and that is completely free as well. And I've tried that. I didn't personally get on with it, but a lot of people might. I had Photoshop and then I tried to go to GIMP when I stopped paying a subscription, and I didn't like it, so I'm back on Photoshop. But you have a few there: Photoshop, GIMP 2.0, and I'm pretty sure it's called Photo Director 9 or something like that. Really good programs, all do a great job of editing. If it's just like my thumbnails where you're putting a bit of text over the picture and stuff like that, and putting a few maybe little animations or something on it, they will do the job perfectly. But I hope this video has been massively helpful to you. I wasn't sure if I was going to make this video, but honestly, I think the lack of information that I had when I was trying to learn how to do all this, I thought what's best to make a video and just help the few. Maybe it might help 10 people, but if it helps 10 people, it's more content for me and everyone else to watch, because there needs to be more fishing content out there that are just vlogs and stuff like that. So I do hope this has helped. If it did, let me know in the comments how long you've been making videos, or if you're just starting out. And yeah, make sure you like and subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. And yeah, I hope you enjoy making your fishing videos, and good luck for the future. So I'll see you in the next video.